Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today I'm doing something that has been requested before. A couple of weeks ago I asked if you wanted to do a second Hindosh look or favorites, and at first it was Hindosh was the winner and then the favorites. I am going to do the Hindosh because I did shoot it, but it's not time sensitive, it's already been released, and I thought we would do a full face of favorites instead of just talking about them. Now, I asked myself, what is a favorite? Is a favorite the foundation that is so beautiful, but you feel like it's not for everyday wear? Or is a favorite the one that you go to over and over again? You know you can count on it, you know it works for you. So I decided it's not going to be my favorite, and in some cases, you're going to see how I figure that out. But some of these categories will be something so beautiful I don't wear very often, but it is 100% a favorite for me. So we're going to put some on the face, and let's start with foundation. I've already done my skincare and my sunscreen. It's been on for a solid half hour, and it's really hot today. So my favorite, and you don't see me use this very often because I feel like it's almost like a special occasion, that it's a little too much for daily. And I remember when I got this, every time I pumped it, my heart broke a little bit because there was a little bit gone. Not that it's been discontinued. I don't know. I just was weird about it. It is the Etherealist from Kevyn Aucoin. I'm going to take 2 pumps and a damp beauty blender. That way, because this coverage is a little bit fuller with a beauty blender, I'm not going to get as full a coverage, but I'll still get that beautiful, beautiful foundation. And there's almost a half a face. I did this cheek, but it's a beautiful foundation. It looks so beautiful on the skin, and I am a big fan. And there's the full face, you guys. If you're someone who likes full coverage, you will say, no, this is not it. For me, this is a very solid medium to light full, if there's such a thing. And it's comfortable on the skin. The finish is skin-like, I would say, but you know, we have to account for what my starting point was, which was pretty shiny. It's comfortable. It has a very nice color range for me, and I love the Etherealist, but I don't use it that often. The one that I go to over and over and over and over again, the one thing, well, I actually repurchased 2 things, but one of them I don't wear that much. This is the thing that I went through last year. I would say 90% of the time I was wearing the Makeup Forever Reboot. It doesn't have full coverage, and I don't even try to build this. They have a great color range, beautiful finish. It has a scent that is very, very nice. You know, scent, not so much we want that going on, but at least it doesn't smell like perfume. It just smells like an experience, if that makes sense. And it feels so lovely on the skin. So my favorite for day to day is the Makeup Forever Reboot. Let's move on to concealers. So I recently discovered this Charlotte Tilbury corrector and this Clinique Even Better. And you've seen me do these, so I'll just say, I've tried many of these. I've tried from Pixie, I've tried from Becca, I've tried from Bobbi Brown, I've tried from MAC. Most of them are either drying, too thick, or too emollient. And this for me is just perfect. And I put it on one finger, transfer it to another finger, and go in. I don't go ham with it. If they're too emollient, they can be a little, I don't know how to say it, I think sticky. And as you're putting it in, it pulls up this very thin, very sensitive, very fragile little skin. And I don't like that. But even worse, because of that texture, it doesn't really cover everything, if that makes sense. Because there's crepiness, there's stuff going on here. Now, I did get some of my foundation under my eyes, so normally this would go on naked skin. And then the Clinique. This is really nice coverage, you guys. Lately, I've just changed the way I'm doing stuff. I put it on my finger or on my hand, and pick it up that way instead of putting this whole amount under the eyes. I think less is more when you get to a certain age. You just have so much going on under the eyes. It's better to just accept some darkness if need be and not have this big, crepey, liney, icky situation. Now I'm going to do honorable mentions, 2 honorable mentions. Kosas. When Kosas first came out with their Revealer Concealer, it was extraordinarily yellow, but a beautiful formula, very similar to the Clinique. And I wrote them, and I said, please do something or not yellow. And they replied and said, don't worry, we're working on it. And indeed, they did. And I got another color. I will say, though, between these 2 colors, this was a little bit lighter. So I go to the Clinique more often, but this has some very nice ingredients in it. So this is second. And I'm going to name one more because this is one I use a lot and I never show you. I wear these glasses that just rub off everything, even though I put a little piece of paper right here so I don't get the rub off. Oftentimes when I come back to the camera after testing something, if I remember, will dip into this. I used to wear this under my eyes, but over time, you know, you're getting older, unfortunately. How does that work? And things suddenly don't work for you anymore. I find, in fact, as I get older, I seem to be getting older faster. You know, like to me, skin between 20 and 30, nice 15-year range, doesn't change that much. But now I see changes happening, and I don't love wearing this under my eye anymore, but I dab it in here a lot. It gives you good coverage, and it's worth noting. So from foundation, I usually go and do my eyes just to allow my foundation to set up before I do anything else. Eyeshadow. What can I say? It's impossible for me to say blank is my favorite palette. It just is. I don't have a single palette that I pull to over and over and over again. Usually when I buy something new, I try to keep it on my table so I'm sure to get some use out of it. But a week later, something else might come out that I like, and then I'm pulling to that more often. So I decided instead of saying what's my favorite palette, although I will say in the past the palette that I used the most was the Tropic palette. And I haven't used it in a long time. I'm afraid to actually use it today. Should I? You know what? I think I am. I'm going to use the Tropic palette. I haven't used it in a long time, but it was a favorite for a long time, and it segues into what I'm going to say, because what I was going to say is I'd rather talk about my favorite formulas than my favorite palettes. And for me, it's Natasha Denona. Now, she does have kind of a habit that I don't like, which she changes her formulas all the time. But when I first started buying her line, it was the Lila. And I bought it because the 5 mattes in there were so beautiful. Not only in their texture and how they work on the lids, but the colors seem to have a lot of richness and depth to them. And what I mean by that isn't something dark. I mean, you can put together an eyeshadow, let's say gray, just black and white. Or you can put 6 different pigments in there. You could put black and white and cream and maybe a little bit of blue, or a little bit of blue and red. There's so many ways you can come across a gray where it could be neutral, it could be green, it could be blue undertoned, it could be lavender undertoned, and I just feel that she puts a lot of pigments, different colored pigments, into her mattes, and it makes them more lively on your eye, if that makes sense. So I had a couple palettes pulled out here, but I decided I'm going to do the Tropic. I also want to give an honorable mention to something that's a lot less expensive, but I still think really quality. In the tin, the Too Faced powders are fantastic. I happen to love this. I don't wear it very often, but I thought I need to start again because even though this came out at Christmas time and it looks Christmassy, I think you can definitely get summery looks out of it. I love the way it smells. I mean, I'm not crazy. But the powders that they have in the tins, not in anything else, they work so well for crepey lids, and they're very pigmented, and they're reasonably easy to work with if you go in with a light hand first, and they're less expensive. So this is the Tropic Palette. If you don't know, this was a limited edition from Natasha Denona, and finally it's no longer on the Sephora site. And it wasn't on Natasha Denona. I thought, okay, it's finally, they're done with this one. And then it came back up, so I guess they found some stock. If you can get your hands on this, if you have a skin tone like mine. I just watched a couple of other people do, you know, when I do my massaging in the morning and stuff, I watch videos. And I didn't look for it, but this came up with Tati and with Kinky Sweat. And I do feel that both of them, when they swatched, they look like this is a very warm palette. I do not think it is. There are a couple of warm tones. This is warm. This is peach. But to me, this, and this would be neutraler, more neutral, has a skin tone pinkiness to it. So not a bright pink, but something very skin tone. And as such, I find that this palette is fantastic for daily wear. I don't remember what I did though, so I'm going to go in with Vintage Taupe. Again, it's kind of a putty taupey with a mauvey rose in the undertone, which is great for my skin tone. And there's a little bit of foundation on my eyes, and this will be the shade I use to receive my hood, i.e. the socket area. And I'm going back to the brushes that I used to use every single day because I thought it might help me, because really I haven't used it in such a long time and I don't remember my looks. But I did do a couple of looks in the first days of this channel. And it hardly needs any blending. It's just so great with my skin tone. And honestly, this could be it, but we'll do a little bit more. I'm going to take this Smith and go into Peach Puff. It's a lovely neutral peach. It's not too pink, it's not too orange, and I really don't know what I'm doing, but that's kind of what's great about these colors. You don't have to be experienced to put together something really pretty. I don't want to go too peachy today, and I think actually it is reading a little more peach than I want. So I'm going to go in with Nudist, and this is just a light pink, but it's not a bright pink. And kind of go all over the place, I think. And that is going to be it, I think. I could do more. I could do maybe a little outer corner, but I'm going to make the lip pretty big today, so I'm going to keep the eye pretty mellow. All right, let's talk about eyeliners. Eyeliners, I have eyeliners that I like because of the color more than a formula, and some eyeliners are tricky, because some I like because I can really work with them and they move very easily. Some I like for the color, and one I like because it stays and it's discontinued. So let's talk about that. This Milk Liner, I love it in my waterline because it stays. There's nothing more disappointing than putting, well, there is, of course, something more disappointment, but it's a drag. When you do your lining and in a half an hour, it's gone. Or it's transferred here. And this doesn't have that problem. In fact, it's actually kind of hard to get off. I definitely need to spend some time with an oil to get that off, and I usually don't. I usually do micellar water on a pad, and that takes off everything. When I'm using this, sometimes it's still there in the morning, but I'm okay with it because I know it's going to stay here. Oh, and look, I brought into screen my other favorite. This is a beautiful formula from Victoria Beckham. I do wish that she had more colors, honestly. I have Cocoa and Bordeaux, and I think for today I'm going to do Bordeaux because of what the lip is I'm doing. They're very, very soft, and this is very, very soft, so you can really move this around. And I'm just trying to tie my lip, which is going to be a pink, with the eye, which is still reading a little peach, and I thought this might help. Now usually when I want to make something a little softer, I'll just go in with my finger, but this is such a beautiful smudger. And of course, it's a smaller tool than my finger. Eyeliner done, let's talk about mascara. My very favorite mascara is Hourglass Film Noir. It is discontinued, and nobody ever spoke about it, and frankly, Hourglass didn't push it. It's the first mascara I ever found, ever, that didn't flake or rub off or give me the darkness over here. I spent much of my 20s and 30s doing this. You know that thing where you're like, you don't even look in the mirror to see if you have anything down here because you know you do. And then I found this, and that includes, by the way, drugstore, and I love this. I also love that this gives me a very natural look. But it's discontinued, so I'm going to show you my second favorite. Milk Kush. This, there's something about this that it makes my lashes look fluttery, and that's what I want to look like. I want to look like I have more lashes and a fluttery, soft look. I know I already did the Hourglass, I probably shouldn't have. But this is problematic, where the Hourglass just doesn't get all over my face. I don't know where my camera stopped. I think I finished my mascara, but it was the Kush mascara. I love what it does for my lashes, but it's not dependable like the Hourglass. The Hourglass, I also love what it does for my lashes. They're both a little bit different. Generally speaking, I can get a more daily, casual, not mascara-y, but yes, you're wearing mascara look out of that. But it doesn't flake, it doesn't transfer, it doesn't smudge, it's just great. Where the Kush gives me a more of a fluttery look, but it does flake and it does smudge. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's not reliable. Pretty, but not reliable. For blushes, I love blush, and I have a lot of blushes. And blushes can be about color, and it can be about formula, and sometimes you get both together. So for both together, I have to say, I love my Surratt powders. Now I have 3 more, but these are the 3 that I'm using the most, because the other 3 are more for, I have an occasion where I need this specific color, if that makes sense. And these can be used on the daily. They have some that have a sheen, these have a sheen, and they have some that are matte, and I have both. And I just think the Surratt colors are so beautiful, and they're just a little bit different. You know, when new blush lines come out, everybody hits the same colors, a pink, a peach. Oh, I'm bored. There's something about these colors that's just a little bit different. And I will oftentimes go in and I'll mix these 2 together or these 3 together. So let's just mix all these 3 together, because this one doesn't show up on my skin too much. And the light's different today, you guys, because I do have the door shut. It's only open a foot because it's really warm. But at the end, I'll open the door and we can get better light situation. I'm going really light because I'm not sure what kind of mix I'm going to end up getting here. You won't be able to see this, but there's a little bit of a sheen here that totally negates the need for me for highlighter. It's just so, so special, and I may not have it evenly on my face because of the light. Because I know I'm going to go in with a pink lip, I might want to go with something a little bit brighter, and this is Marapapa. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. Beautiful. Now we're going to go back to something I love a lot, but I don't go to that much because it feels a little special, and something that I just count on day after day after day. Well, I don't use highlighters all that often because I feel like I have enough sheen, and I'm just not that big highlighter girl who, oh my god, I left the house without highlighter, but I do love a highlighter. It's just weird, I don't know. Westman Atelier Nectar. This is so beautiful and so subtle. You can't even see where I put it on my hand. I'm just going to put it right here. It's just, to me, this is beautiful and natural. And remember, I do have that blush on that has some highlighting qualities to it. And the nectar color, it just seems to be something that would work on so many skin tones. Incredibly subtle, beautiful, and if you have dry skin, a godsend. But the one that I just count on, it's like my reboot. I know it'll never fail me. It's a beautiful color for me, is the Light Wand from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the original one. I think it's called Spotlight. And I'm just going to put a little bit over. A lot of people hate this. I love this. The last time I used it, I made a mess out of it. But this locks. I just squeeze it out, not until I see it, but until I see the sponge expand, because I know when I lock it, it's going to keep on going a little bit. But the last time I used this, I went a little too far. A little goes a long way with this. I'm going to take that on my hand and just do a teeny bit, since I'm already kind of glowy. This to me has a little more punch than the nectar, and I think worthy of putting a little bit on the nose. Sometimes I feel that instead of contouring the nose, just a highlight on the nose tends to make it thinner. And I don't obsess too much about things that I can't change without surgery. I mean, the things that bother me are down here and my eyes. But the nose, I don't make myself crazy about for some reason. But it's a little thicker down here than I want it to be. And I think my dog kind of, not Lucy, but my previous dog kind of maybe did something to my nose. My fault, but it happened twice. So, you know, like your nose is bleeding and the swelling is really swell, and it never quite went back to normal. But it's a beautiful sheen. So let's talk bronzer and contour. I very rarely do a contour, but I really like this one from Charlotte Tilbury. It's a light medium. Just a smidge. I just don't think contouring looks all that good on me, and I am going to contour the nose. And I'm going to go in with a beauty blender because this seems really dark, but it works out very nicely. Well, on camera it doesn't. Now I'm taking the fat part and going for it. Yeah, for me, contouring is difficult. For bronzing, I have to say I have a new bronzer that I like very much, and that is the NARS, but it can be a little fussy because it's too dark, so I have to apply it with some care. And the Seychelles is the one, this is from Tarte. This is just a great, perfect color for me. A great formula, a lot on the hand, take it off. And I like to do my bronzer on the tops of my cheekbone. Then I'll go in, if just a little bit with whatever's left, depending if I want to get that real sun-kissed look, then it won't be just a little. The top of my cheeks, and just go over the nose the teeniest bit. And then just a little down here, not to contour so much as to make the face a little even. Now it's time for some brows, and my favorite brow product is from the drugstore. This is from NYX. I have tried high-end, I have tried low-end, and I do not believe there's any reason to spend a lot of money on your eyebrow pencil. I'm spending money elsewhere. But if you can find a drugstore that has a good color for the eyebrows, I can't see why you would do anything else. Well, for me anyway, and this is a good color. Eyebrows done. Alright, time for powder. I like to powder when I'm feeling that I'm too shiny up here and on the cheeks and here. If I don't feel that way, I don't powder at all. And sometimes I want to powder under my eyes so things don't move around too much, or if it's too shiny. Today I actually could do without, but for the sake of this video I won't. Hands down, my favorite powder is the By Terry Translucent in the white color. Translucent. It just works for me. And it is expensive. It's $60 for this thing, but I'm telling you, my first one lasted me for years. So we're just going to do a little bit right here where I tend to crease at the trough, but the rest of the eye looks pretty good, but you know. Oh, I forgot we used the Milk mascara. Okay, so when we have the Milk mascara on board, I'm going to powder over here. And this helps. Done. My favorite powder, the by Terry, and my favorite brush, which apparently was a limited edition, although it was available for years and years, is the airbrush from Wayne Goss. If it ever comes back, I imagine it might, but because he just released some new brushes, he doesn't want to compete with himself. But when that time comes, check in 6 months on Beauty English to see if they're doing this one again, because I think it's perfect for powder. Let's talk about lips. It's a huge category, as you can see. So, I couldn't possibly choose my favorite lipstick. I just can't. Lipstick is that thing, you know, when I was in my 20s and I worked near Century City. I worked in Century City. And sometimes I would, at lunchtime, go to, I don't even remember what stores were there anymore, Bullock's and Macy's, or Broadway. I think it was Bullock's and Broadway. And I would just buy myself a lipstick just because lipstick is happiness in a tube. If you get the right color, it just cheers you up. It's not happiness that it's going to last forever, but it's just a fantastic pick-me-up, and it can change everything, and I really love lipstick colors. Formula-wise, I am kind of like a princess in the pea. My lips are super, super sensitive to weight, to dryness, to certain ingredients, or certain kinds of formulations. So I'm not a chemist. I can't tell you what the formulation is, but for a long time I thought it was a particular ingredient. And I broke down the ingredient list of 3 things. 1 I loved, 2 I didn't love, and I found the 2 I didn't love had this ingredient. Like, okay, it's this. Then I went to the 1 I loved, and they had the same ingredient, but it was in a different position. So it has to do with how it's formulated. The things that I really don't like, aside from what it feels like, is when the color goes into the lip lines, but not so much on top of the lips. Or you put on another coat, and yes, you have it on top of the lips, but it fades very fast, and when it fades, it's right back to the middle of the lines. That's something that bothers me quite a bit. So I'm going to tell you my favorite lipstick in a minute, but I'm going to go over some other categories first. Gloss. My favorite gloss formulation is from Viseart. The Tower 28 is very, very similar. They came out after Viseart, and their colors are not all that compelling. I have a couple of them. They don't have a lot of opacity to them. The Visearts have opacity to them, but there's something just slightly off about the colors. Now, I like colors that are slightly different because basically you can go to the store and say, oh, I want a rosewood. Every single brand has them, and you just find the favorite formulation, or you just go to the brand that you always go to. With Viseart, they didn't do that route, so their colors are a little bit different. But in so doing, they are not necessarily for daily wear. Now, I haven't tried the Pink Petal, I think it's called. That might be good for daily wear, but I love that formula. It is not heavy, it is not sticky, and it feels nourishing to the skin. So that's my favorite gloss. The other gloss that I really like, and I'm not a gloss person, you guys, so I can't say I've tried 20 glosses, because I haven't. But I've tried, you know, over the years, a handful of glosses. I would say the Pat McGrath is fairly comfortable as well. Let's talk about a category that I am making up, and that is a lip conditioner that is cosmetically elegant and has color, so you can use it as your color, but it's, to me, really about nourishing, and that is, I freaking love this. If you followed me, you know this was going to come up. This is the Lip Enhancer. It is in the color, oh, I can't remember how to pronounce it. Someone corrected me. It's, I'm going to say the wrong way, Det, but I think it's Diet by Hermes, and it just imparts the smallest bit of healthy, beautiful color. It feels luscious on the lips. I'm not going to put it on because I am going to do a lipstick in a little bit, but I love this, and it actually really does feel like it's conditioning your lips. And then the other thing is this Westman Atelier Squeaky Clean, I think it's called. It smells like lemon, which I cannot get over. so good, but a little bit of sweetness, so like lemon chiffon. It smells delicious, it feels delicious, and it looks delicious. And unlike other things that say this is good for your skin, this actually feels good for your skin. So those are my two in a category that I am making up, which is both cosmetic and healthy, nourishing skincare. I'm making up a category, and that is best colors. As I just said, you could go to Sephora or a department store and you could find the same colors everywhere, and nobody's doing anything that is substantially different. If they do, it's kind of on accident, and it's more about the formula or brand loyalty or price. I wanted to give a salutation. You guys, it's hot. My brain and my personality don't work when it's hot. Acknowledgement to some companies who make lip colors that are a little bit different, and that is Lisa Eldridge. Not all of her colors work on me 100%, but she really spends a lot of time on undertones and giving, just like Natasha Denona with her eyeshadows, like a depth of tone, some interest in the tone. And again, I'm not saying every color works on me, but I'm saying I can see that a lot of her colors are just not colors you're going to go to Sephora and say, oh yes, there's that color here, there's that color here, there's that color here. Along the same lines of colors not like everybody else, I find that if you are tired of looking at the same colors spilled out at every kiosk you go to, you might want to consider going to older brands. So the Estee Lauders, which I can't say I've looked in ages because they're generally at the department store, the Lancome, which has been around for a long time, and not as long, but same kind of thing, Dior and Givenchy. And these brands have colors that are outside of the range that you're seeing at every single kiosk. Largely because they've been around for a long time, and if something's popular, they're going to keep on making it. So if you want something just less, if you feel the trend is dead, whatever the trend may be, and you want something else and you can't find it because most companies are only doing the trend, go to those older brands. And that almost wraps up lipsticks. I am going to do my actual lipstick that's my favorite, but I wanted to talk about lip liner first. I have several lip liners. Look, I've seen people have hundreds. I don't. I can't say I'm in love with any of them. They all kind of serve their function, but the one I love the most is Victoria Beckham's. I just love the formula. I only have one. I think it's in the color 3, and it's just perfect for me. I will say that her line, her colors run a little bit too dark for me and a little too brownish for me, but this one I really enjoy, and when I need something kind of neutral-ish, I'd much rather pull to that than anything else that I have. And I'm not pulling to that right now because something this lipstick does for me means I don't need to wear liner. So this is Sisley Le Fido Rouge or Le Fido Rouge in 23. And oh, I love this color, first of all, but this isn't about the color. I love this formula. This is not expensive. This is not inexpensive. In fact, I think it's a little bit more than the Tom Ford. What I love about it is, well, many things. One, it doesn't go into those lip lines. When you put it on, it's all over the lip. When it wears off, and it does, but it's a little bit longer lasting than some others that I've tried, it wears off more evenly. At least this color does. This is the only one I have. I actually just ordered another one from Beautylish that should be here in a couple of days. They have a limited color range, so some of them are called beige and then blank, and they're all cities. And then they have rouge and blank, and then they have orange. I think 2 colors. I don't remember what this fell under, and I think there's one more category. But the beiges just, they just don't work on me. And the other one I got is more in an orangey tone. I think this is beautiful. Also, it's really hard online to tell what the colors are. Here's my advice to you. Buy them on Beautylish and base your color selection not on the photo of the tube and not on the color on the model. That is wrong 100 times over. But the swatch is closest to what this really is. It's looking bright on my monitor, but who knows, you know, what'll happen when I'm done with this. It's closest to the swatch, the effect that I get on my lips on the Beautylish site. I don't know when the camera stopped. All right, so just in case the camera stopped before I explain this to you, it is no small thing that one of the things I love about this lipstick is the shape. And hopefully you'll be able to see the tip of that. So I just put it on my lower lip and went like this. Now, this side of my upper lip appears to be thinner than this side of the other lip. In fact, it's not. Worse than that, as I'm aging, this side of my face appears to be falling more than this side of my face. So I need to even that up, and it's freaking impossible. I see people every single day overlining and making their lips bigger. It doesn't work on me. It could be because my vermilion is so pronounced that when I overline it, all you really see is the vermilion at the same place, and it looks weird. It could, I don't know why it is. I can't do that. I don't have the right lips for that. It's very hard for me to use a liner and to get this even with this, but every time I've used this lipstick, but of course now that I'm shooting, probably won't work, I've been able to use this tip in such a way that I can get these lips to look even. So, first, now, I take it on the side, I swear to God, they look even to me now. But that's not the only reason I love this, but it is a big reason to love this. It feels comfortable, it is not too heavy, it is not too greasy, it is not drying at all, it doesn't feel dimethicone, it fully saturates the entire lip, so inside the lip lines and the lip itself, and you saw what a mess my lips were when I sat down, right? It lasts for a long time for a lipstick, but when it wears off evenly, and I just love this formula. I love this cut. I love this color, of course. Should we make it a little bit darker? There, that's better. I think that's full opacity. And you guys, that is it. That is my favorites, and I hope it was enjoyable to you. I'm going to open the door now so we can get a different light situation here, and you can see the final look. Ta-da! Okay, now the door is open, and that's the only thing I changed. I just opened the door, and the colors will probably look a little bit different. Looking at my computer/monitor right here, I would say it's looking pretty close to what I'm seeing in the mirror. And these are a few of my favorite things. I wonder if I can sing that without getting in trouble. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope it was helpful to you, and I hope you come back again. Until we meet again, be safe and smart, and I'm wishing you good health.